Hey folks, it's Tom, your Frugal Prepper. I want to talk about AC repairmen, okay? And what the heck is going on with them. And, we've had a real heat wave here in Ohio this week. And it hasn't rained really at all in the last 3 weeks. It's just been dry and hot and humid. It's been very humid, very hot. So I have had a lot of calls from people like, hey, do you work on air conditioners? Like, somewhat, right? I have a thing, R22. I have gauges. I have the ability to recover the refrigerant if I need to. I don't really like to recover refrigerant and replace compressors, but I've done it. I have capacitors, I can come out and take a look. And I'll go out and replace a capacitor. And some people, I only charge them $50 because I like them. And other people, I charge $75 or $100 just to go out and replace a capacitor. And I don't buy those big, expensive universal capacitors. I go on Amazon and I buy some for $10, a 35.5, a 45.5, a 45, a 35. I buy all the different sizes. Plus, I have some standalone capacitors. I have some start capacitors. I just have a nice little selection. And when I use one, I order another one. And I'll go out and I'll look at their air conditioner. And so one customer, they called me and said they spent $200 for the guy to diagnose that it had a bad capacitor. And he said it would cost $600 to put Freon in it afterwards, after he replaced the capacitor, which it was working fine. It wasn't low on Freon. It just has a bad capacitor. I didn't even hook the gauges up to it because it was working fine. So then he said, it would cost like $6,000 to fill the whole thing with Freon and blah, blah, blah. And you just need a whole new unit. And this one's on its last leg. And I went out, I looked at it. The wiring in it was a mess. It was, a lot of the terminals were corroded and they broke off. So I had to just crump some new wires and terminals. And I thought the run capacitor, or the start capacitor, was bad. So I put in a 35.5 and that started it. It would not start it after it shut off for like 15 minutes though. So I said, we need to get that and get it replaced. I did not have one in stock. So I ordered one overnight on Amazon. Then the next day I tested it again with my tester and I was like, oh, that is a good capacitor. So I just cleaned it up, put some new wires on it, took it back and put it in. I went ahead and hosed it off really good, got it good and clean because it was really dirty. And they're saying it's working great. It's like we set the temperature and it actually keeps it there now. It wouldn't get much below 76 before. And I put the other capacitor back in and I charged them $50 because I like them. And I fixed it. And I can get, if you're a professional HVAC person, you can't do it for $50. But $200 just to diagnose it's a bad capacitor, not to replace it. I had another guy, I was working on one and the neighbor came over. It's like, yeah, they came out and looked at mine a few years ago and they said it had a bad capacitor and it was going to be $689 to replace it. And so I just got a whole new unit and a whole new furnace and everything. I was like, you can buy these capacitors for $10 on Amazon. I can see $100 or $200 if you're professionally licensed and insured and all that stuff, and you have better equipment than I do. I get it. $689 to put in a capacitor? Really? These places are just trying to rip people off. Seriously. And again, like when I was working on that other one, I went ahead and hooked up my gauges and checked it and it's fine. It doesn't need any Freon. So they're old R22 units. I had another place that said it was $600 a pound to add Freon. $600 for R22, a pound. You can nearly buy a 25-pound jug like for $7.89. You know, you can buy 10 pounds for $300. So it's $30 a pound is your cost. So double it, make $60 a pound. $600? Really? You're going to charge that much? I really feel like these technicians who go out for these bigger air conditioning companies aren't hired because they know how to fix anything. They're just hired to go out and tell them, it's broke, you need a brand new one, we'll schedule the install. While it's hot and we have our foot on your throat, you need a whole new unit. So, yeah, they you know, the anti-DIY HVAC guy or whatever, he can say that I'm just a cap bandit. And you know, I'm a network engineer by day. I fix cars, I do wiring, I do gardening. You guys all know what I do. I do everything. And I can test a capacitor and I can replace it with another one. And I can do a professional job of it. And I don't ever, I mean, some customers I charge $100, usually it's $75. It depends on how big of a capacitor it needs and if it needed extra wiring or any other stuff. And I spray it out with their garden hose and make sure it's good and clean. It works. They're happy. They're cool. And it doesn't cost them a blaming fortune. Now, I get it. I'm not insured, so I don't do this professionally. I just do it to help out people that I know or friends of friends and friends. But still, I mean, I know how much my mobile mechanic insurance costs. It was about $980 every 6 months. You know, it might cost you a little bit more if you have a bigger company doing stuff. I don't know. But really, you're going to charge that kind of money? That's crazy. I really get the feeling that these guys are just being paid to say, well, we got our foot on your throat and it's in the middle of a heat wave and it's broken. We're going to get you. It's going to be $6,000 for a whole new unit. And then they schedule it and it can't happen for 2 weeks anyway. Like, get the customer comfortable. Tell them they have an older unit. It has these problems, but it's working for now. But they need to save up some money and look at getting a new unit or whatever. You know, keep the customer comfortable and happy, if at all possible. You know, and yeah, I've seen the work of cap bandits before and going out and just putting in multiple caps or zip tying another cap beside a bad cap because they only need one for the fan, and leaving the wires a mess and putting the cover back on there and only putting one screw in it. You know, I've seen that, and I don't do that. But it's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, that's all I got. It's really hot out here. I'm sweating like a pig. I'm gonna go back inside.